representation and the fact that we actually get them to meet our students, I think it's fair to say that that's one thing that many schools don't benefit off. However, though, I want to say to make sure to maintain a proper cap, a reasonable cap, is I have to look into the books. We, as a team, we would have to look into the books and come to a reasonable, agreeable consensus with the university and listening to students. I think the student assembly would be one approach to going about it. Thank you.
Amali?
Thank you, really good question. First of all, I would never make any promises to any students that the cap is going to remain where it is because I can't tell the future and we're dealing with a lot of different factors and players in that situation. And we know that Samaria's university executive is, big and really bad. When I say bad, not negatively bad, but they're strong. What I can do is vow to fight as hard as I can to keep it where it is or even lower it. And like I mentioned before, it's about establishing a really comfortable middle ground between both organizations so we can work together for the best interests of all the students of St. Mary's. Thank you.
Yeah. So, as I said before, with Dalhousie recently deciding to vote out of Students Nova Scotia, SMU has the steering wheel. We have full representation. We are the big guys. We're the fat cats in the room. So, I personally am going to fight or lobby with Students Nova Scotia to keep that cap as low as possible. And again, we need to commend Borba for the hard work he's done with that and all the stress he's gone through recently with this Students Nova Scotia. So let's give him another round of applause. Thank you.
Yay, Borba!
Woo! I agree with Molly. I'm crazy on Pearson. But yeah, no, I don't think that we should promise anyone that we're not gonna, that the fees aren't gonna go any higher because they are. It's inevitable that they will go higher. But it's a matter of making sure that they don't increase like gas prices, like just going astronomical. But I think that yeah, definitely they are gonna go up. But I think it's just a matter of making sure that they don't go up too high too fast.
Okay.
Okay, so my question is actually relatively simple. SMUSA is incorporated separately from the university as a legal entity in and of itself. I just want you guys to explain, well, what that means and in what year SMUSA was created.
I know the answer. It was the answer to my favorite Mustang. That's a big news. So the order for this question is Keith, Yannick, Morgan, and then Molly. And I'm thinking this is 30 seconds. You got 30 seconds. Well, I'm glad that I just learned a new fact about our moderator. Your favorite Mustang must be a 1966. So yeah, that would be the year that SMUSA started. It's also, is that the year? That's what I believe. And it's also the anniversary of the Gorgeburg tonight, so it's also a big deal. So thank
It was a two-part question though. What year was it created, and what does it mean to be a separate legal entity?
You still have 15 seconds.
It's a very big deal, and that's clearly outlined in the president's report, where they're trying to make an agreement so that there's a bit more control from their side. I personally believe it's very important that we remain separate, so we can best represent our students. Thank you.
Not gonna lie, I didn't know what year. Yeah, no, I didn't. But yeah, it's definitely important to keep it separate because there are different things that are controlled
Number two, the difference, basically what it entails is that they're going to fight on behalf of the students and lobby on behalf of the students. That's what the main reason is that that legal aspect covers, aside from offering services, but I believe it's fighting for the students' interests. Yeah.
Okay, and Molly, your last question. Your last answer.
I think we already established it was established in 1966. I actually didn't know that, but you know. Secondly, SMUSA being a separate legal entity, it should remain that way. It just means it governs itself, it makes its own decisions, and that's for a reason. And that reason is so it can defend the students of St. Mary's against any negative energy that would come its way. And that's why SMUSA should remain a separate legal entity from St. Mary's University. Because if not, then the students will be taken advantage of, and that wouldn't be a good thing. Thanks.
And you have the honor of the last question of the evening. I hope it's poignant. No pressure.
My question is to whoever is going to be the future president. Now, as president, what kind of example do you think you will set for future leaders to follow?
Great question to end on. And because it is your last question, I'm going to be generous. Everyone gets a minute and a half to answer that question. And the order is Yannick, Amali, Morgan, Keith. You gotta give me 1 second to reset my time. All right. You're good to go.
Thank you, everyone, for your question. I want to start by saying that everyone has a definite definition of leadership. I won't tell you what leadership is. What you see as leadership is different to how I see it. But one thing I want to say that is common in all our definition is being able to have those good qualities of being personable and being just humble and knowing when to take the right steps. And that's how I think one could say that there's a common in all the definitions that we have. And how I would set it, to be very honest with you, it's my advice. I can only advise, not force. I can advise you, and I'll be open, and my door would be open at any time, and you see me on campus. And mind you, I'm not the type of person that likes to sit behind a desk. I like walking around. And I think most of you have noticed, even though you don't want to say it, it's okay. But I do walk around a lot, and I get stopped a lot. I get asked a lot, and a lot of things. How do you get resources here? How did you get to be where you are today? And how did you be able to know the person that you got to know? And I'm willing to do that. And I think by being able to advise you and point you in the right direction, I think I've set the precedence to even give you the hunch or at least the ability to say, I may want to run for being president. I think that's fair to say that that's one thing that we can all do in common. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question once again. I think leadership is very simple. Good leadership is very simple. Firstly, knowing the difference between right and wrong, doing right by others, and as SMUSA president, putting the interest of every single student before itself. It's very difficult when you're in a position of power or influence or leadership in any organization to not look out for your best interest. And like our guest speaker mentioned before, people have a very negative view of politicians because they always lie, swindle, steal from the common folk. But as a leader, as a president of SMUSA, I will always lead by example. I will always put the students before me and do right by every single student, every single time, in every single decision I make. Thank you.
Morgan?
We discussed leadership in the student assembly, and like they both said, there's no set definition of leadership. Depending on what level of leadership it is, depends on and who you're leading and how you are as a leader yourself. but definitely being a leader is having people respect you. Being respected is so important, and knowing right and wrong, and being responsible for everything, for your school, for yourself, for your actions, and for people who are working under you and around you and with you. And I think that's definitely something that you would have to pass on to the next execs, is just making sure they're responsible for their actions. And
clarify or repeat the question, please?
I said, as president, what kind of example do you think you will set for future leaders to follow?
Okay, that's a really great question. Being president, as I've said on and on again, is about representation of the students and creating a sustainable association. So if you're doing this to the best interest of everyone, that means you're also looking forward and saying, okay, well, I started this initiative, like, how can it continue? How can we continue to be as great as we are now? And I take great note of that, and I really understand that if elected, I would only have 1 year, and it does go beyond me. This association has been since 1966. It's going to keep going, and you have to be very conscious of what's coming next.
Okay, so that concludes the presidential debate. But before you guys all head over to the course book, we just want to take a moment to thank Paul Minikin for taking time out of her busy schedule to be here with us this evening and last evening. Her support is greatly appreciated, and we definitely could not have had these two successful events without her. We would now like to present Paula with a small token of our gratitude. We'd also like to thank each and every one of you who came up tonight and supported our candidates. Could we please give them a round of applause? Voting days are this upcoming Monday and Tuesday. The polls will be open from 9 to 6. You can cast your vote by